Snow on the ground, clearing skies, bitterly cold temperatures set to follow. We'll track the digits coming up.
Communities across the Commonwealth are helping each other after power outages.
I'm really grateful for all their help.
How a shelter is bringing folks together in Rockcastle County.
And all our winter weather is giving rescue crews the opportunity to practice the warning we're hearing from the Lexington Fire Department.
WKYT News starts now with First Alert Weather.
Good evening to you. Our First Alert Weather Day continues, not because of the snow, but because of frigid temperatures.
They are sticking around. WKYT Chief Meteorologist Chris Bailey is tracking what we can expect and also a light at the end of the tunnel. Right, Chris?
Yeah, we just hope it's not a freight train coming at us at the end of that tunnel. That's what we've been dealing with the past couple of weeks. But yeah, we're going to warm that thermometer up this weekend. Campus of Morehead State University. We know this has been just a catastrophic ice storm and snowstorm for a lot of folks across the region over the past couple of weeks. So we just need to get a lot of this snow and ice melted away and to improve the overall conditions. The view, though, from our Morehead State University cams also shows some of the beauty that you can get with snow and ice. And this is what we're dealing with on campus here. This is Eagle Lake behind us. You notice how just parts of it are frozen. And no matter where you are across central and eastern Kentucky right now, ponds, lakes, they may have a little ice on them, but I don't think that ice is going to be thick enough. So let's stay off the water. Moms and dads, let's watch the kids and the pets as well to keep them away from water. A little bit of sunshine has been trying to show up here into Lexington. Look at that view. Boy, that just looks like a frozen tundra view, doesn't it? You got the icicle, at least a little bit of that frozen sky and some sun, and obviously the frozen ground. 25. Feels like 18 degrees right now. We have turned off the snow machine with temperatures in the 20s, though, in that clearing sky. Tonight, guys, the temperature trend is going to be down into the single digits into many areas. When I come back in just a few minutes, I'm going to start to talk more about the good, as the forecast can only get better from here.
Okay, we can use that. Thank you, Chris. More than 2,000 customers are still without power in Rockcastle County. The community opened a warming shelter at a middle school to try and help families stay safe.
WKYT's Grace Feinerman talked to one man who's been at the shelter now for days and has more on how he's choosing to stay positive.
For 5 minutes into conversation, I'm going, this guy's pretty cool.
New friendships, it seems, can start anywhere.
What should we talk about, Terry?
Oh, we can talk about anything.
Well, what advice do you have for me today?
Terry and Michael, well, they met at a warming center at Rockcastle County Middle School.
And this gentleman here, he sticks with me like glue.
Terry is the greatest storyteller I've ever met.
Terry was one of the countless people in Rockcastle County to lose power after this week's weather, but that's not his only obstacle. He lives alone with hearing difficulties and is blind in his left eye. Still, after spending a few days at the shelter, he's choosing to be optimistic.
It's warm. It's friendly. I haven't heard anybody say a bad thing about anybody. And so I'm grateful.
Terry's cot was one of 36 here in the middle school gym. People without power or water during the harsh weather. Each cot spaced 6 feet apart to practice social distancing.
Our motto is to educate, feed, and support. And that does not end with our students. That ends with our entire community.
Carrie Ballinger, Rockcastle County Superintendent, says while outages bring challenges any year, COVID-19 has made it even more difficult to bring people shelter. She says luckily they learned lessons holding classes in an era of social distancing.
We kind of had those protocols down, so we just transferred that into this current situation.
But to Terry, it's about taking it one step at a time and making sure to enjoy the company along the way.
I made a new friend right here, and so you can't beat it. And they have treated me like a king. And I'm really grateful for all their help.
The power of positivity, again, shining through even the darkest of situations. In Rockcastle County, Grace Feinerman, WKYT.
Certainly making the best of it. Ballinger says if anyone still needs help after this week's weather, they can contact the non-emergency 911 center, the sheriff's office, or the fire department.
Also in Rockcastle County, first responders are still fighting icy conditions to help folks in danger. Last night in Broadhead, firefighters used ropes to reach a patient suffering from carbon monoxide poisoning. The department's UTV couldn't climb the snow-covered hill in front of the person's house, so the crew had to call for backup. We don't know how that person is doing right now.
More than 10,000 customers are still in the dark in Boyd County. Kentucky Power says 2,000 line employees are out right now trying to repair the lines throughout the county and eastern Kentucky. They say melting ice is still weighing down power lines, causing delays. Crews will work through the weekend and into next week to make sure that power is restored.
Obviously, we are very, very cognizant that to be without power is an absolute inconvenience, and it makes every moment of every day difficult. Kentucky Power is thankful for the coordination of services with Boyd County, the City of Ashland, and Emergency Management, just to make sure that people can get where they need to go.
Kentucky Power tells us that normally they would use helicopters to drop some lines down to some of those rural affected areas, but right now, due to the weather, they have not been able to do so. We continue to track power outages across the Commonwealth. That power is slowly starting to come back on. About 48,000 customers are still in the dark tonight. That is down from about 150,000 just a few days ago. The majority of those outages are still in southern and eastern Kentucky.
A church in Jackson County is thanking those power crews. Jackson Energy Cooperative and those with the Bon Holiness Church have partnered for years to feed crew members. They were able to fill up on breakfast before heading out to work this morning. The church also had sack lunches for workers doing their part to say thank you.
A lot of us can't go out there and do what they're doing, but we can feed them. So we feel like we're part of the solution to this problem that everybody's dealing with.
They're in here smiling because they're actually warm and they're getting a hot meal. And that's the least that we can do for their sacrifice.
President and CEO of Jackson Energy Cooperative, Carol Wright, says it will be several more days until power is fully restored. You know, food like that in weather like this goes a long way to keep somebody's spirits up and also keep them moving.
Yeah, they are working around the clock and working so hard, and you know, saying thank you to them is one thing, but then giving them a hot meal is another.
Our freezing cold temperatures over the past week are proving to be helpful to first responders in a specific way.
Yeah, it's giving fire crews a rare opportunity to practice winter rescues. WKYT's Andrea Walker spent the day with the Lexington Fire Department and has their warning for those headed outside.
The Lexington Fire Department's technical rescue crew spent their snow day training for ice rescues.
We don't get ice like this very often, and when we do, we try to take advantage of it the best we can.
Captain Chris Warren says because winter weather like this is so rare in Kentucky, people are tempted to get out and play.
When we got here to check the thickness of the ice today, we actually had foot tracks through the snow out onto the ice. It's just not safe.
Warren says you can't trust your eyes alone to judge the thickness of ice.
Nowhere in Kentucky are we going to have ice that thick. It's all going to be that 2 to 4 inches that is in that danger zone. That you think you can walk out on it, and then once you get out on it, you bust through. And that's what we don't want.
Because once you go in, your chances of getting back out are slim, and time is of the essence. 5 to 10 minutes, maybe, depending on body type, body composition. A small child has merely minutes before they're not going to be able to survive. At the end of the day, their best advice is to play it safe.
No matter how thick it is, how much you think it'll hold, if you go through, your chances of survival are nil. Just stay off of it.
In Lexington, Andrea Walker, WKYT.
Now, if you do somehow end up on the ice, we are told that you should lay down to distribute your weight and then crawl or barrel roll back to safety.
As we continue to watch vaccines roll out across the state, we're here to answer your questions. First, what is the incentive for getting the vaccine? How long does immunity last, and what happens then? We did some research with the CDC, and while wearing masks and social distancing help reduce your chances of being exposed to the virus, it's just not enough. Vaccines work with your immune system to fight the virus. Experts also believe they may keep you from getting seriously ill if you get COVID-19. Both vaccines are highly effective. Based on clinical trials, both are about 95% effective. How long a person's immunity lasts isn't known yet, so it's not a known or if or when a booster shot will be needed. Next question, why are we not placing highest priority on those groups dying from the virus? Not only those 70 and older, but the group 60 and over, plus those with underlying health conditions. Well, knowing supplies would be limited at first, the state's plan set priorities for those who should be vaccinated first. Minimizing illnesses and deaths was the primary goal. But the state also took into consideration other factors like promoting economic and social well-being. Right now, priority is Phase 1B. That's people 70 years or older. People in Phase 1C may get vaccinated if appointments are available. Those 60 and over should get the first shot at those appointments. Today, the governor told reporters the state could officially move into Phase 1C around March 1st. For more information from the vaccine team here at Wkyt, open your smartphone's camera and aim it at this QR code. The link to the vaccine team page should pop up. You can also email your questions to vaccineteam@wkyt.com.
I'm Bill Bryant. This week's tough weather has also delayed the vaccination effort, but can we catch up? Coming up, a preview of Kentucky newsmakers.
And we're rolling into the weekend, and I've got a much better looking forecast after one more frigid night. We'll see with improvements in just a moment. Happy Friday, everybody. Hope you are staying safe, staying warm out there. It's been a heck of a couple of weeks of weather here across the Bluegrass State. Truly historic in terms of not one, not two, but 3 winter storms / ice storms to hit our region in a 1-week span. And that's the first time that I can ever recall this happening, and I've never read of anything like this happening in our part of the world. So we're dealing slowly but surely with a pattern that is going to improve this weekend and certainly into next week. Take a look into London. This is our Interstate 75 cam, and boy, it is just frozen out there. I mean, we've had temperatures low 20s all day long. We've had snow. Snow is clinging to the trees, which are caked in ice. So we're going to see potentially some more power outages because the weight of some of those branches will give way at some point tonight or tomorrow again. How about this view from our WKYT tower cam, 300 feet above my head, looking through some of the icicles that have been on this tower. Same icicles for more than a week since the first ice storm that we had. In the distance, a little bit of clearing. More clouds on the southern side of our sky than the northern side. So as that clearing begins to take hold, that temperature is going to drop like your proverbial rock tonight. 25, 18 is the wind chill. Winds are out of the southwest, so already now beginning to see that wind coming at us from a different direction. Temperatures are into the 20s right now, and out in the open countryside with clear skies tonight, winds that calm down, snow on the ground, those numbers go way down. It was 6 below zero in western Kentucky this morning around Henderson. Wind chill right now into the teens. First Alert Radar Network, hello, goodbye. First time in a long time that we have not been tracking some kind of winter weather either in Kentucky or toward Kentucky. Yeah, we got a few snow flurries into the mountains right now, but you know what? Snow flurries at this point, that's nothing considering where we have been. Weekend forecast, really not too bad. 31 tomorrow. We'll melt a little bit of snow and ice courtesy of some sun. Then the thaw really begins on Sunday. 40 to 45 with a mix of sun and clouds. Those clouds will increase into the afternoon. Let's walk you through the pattern for the weekend. Right out of the gate, models are too aggressive with some clouds this evening. So already seeing some of those clouds breaking up. 5 to 10 above tomorrow morning into parts of central and northern Kentucky. I don't think you'll be as cold into eastern Kentucky because you keep those clouds just a little longer. Tomorrow afternoon, upper 20s north to mid and upper 30s across the south. But any sun now now that we're at the end of February, toward the end of February, the sun angle is higher and higher with each passing day. So that sun angle can melt some snow. Sunday, freezing temperatures, below freezing by the afternoon. How about the 40s into the entire region? That's going to feel really, really good. Here comes a cold front Sunday night and early on Monday, but it can have mainly rain with that, which will also help melt some of that snow and ice. May end as a touch of a snowflake or two, but that stuff gets out of here so quickly that I don't think the temperature on Monday ever drops below freezing. And by Monday afternoon behind a front, we've got readings that are into the 40s. And then, as the old saying goes, you ain't seen nothing yet. Look at this on Tuesday, into the 50s, mid and upper 50s on Tuesday, and I think we can hit 60 on Wednesday for much of the region, and then a cold front moves in. That can bring some rain and snow right behind that, as by then we are getting ready to close the door on February, as hard as that is to believe.
Good riddance.
Yeah, see you later.
Vaccination efforts have hit a small setback thanks to multiple rounds of winter weather, both in the Commonwealth and across the U.S.
And former President Donald Trump is calling the GOP to replace Senator Mitch McConnell as a party leader. Bill Bryant has the details in today's Bottom Line.
Good evening. The tough winter weather that has hit so much of the country over the last week or so has also dealt a major setback to the nationwide effort to get people vaccinated against COVID-19. We saw lots of clinic closings and appointment rescheduling going on here in Kentucky. And President Biden has traveled to the Pfizer vaccine facility in Michigan today to meet with workers who are producing one of the 2 federally approved shots. The Biden administration is looking for ways now to scramble and make up time lost to the extreme weather conditions. Lexington Emergency Room physician Dr. Ryan Stanton joins me on this weekend's edition of Kentucky Newsmakers. He says the weather setback is disappointing, but he says vaccination is the way out of the pandemic and back to a new normal.
The initial vaccination efforts will have the biggest impact on the numbers because of those higher risk populations, not only those that are likely to get COVID, but those that are likely going to have bad outcomes with admissions to the hospital and deaths associated. So we're about to have another vaccine that's available, that is the single shot Janssen or Johnson & Johnson vaccine. And with that and the availability of those vaccinations, it'll make a huge impact.
Also in Kentucky Newsmakers, Wkyt Chief Meteorologist Chris Bailey on the setup that led to the tough weather and what's ahead as we transition toward spring. Kentucky Newsmakers will air Sunday morning at 6 on Wkyt and Sunday morning at 10 on the CW Lexington. Former President Trump called this week for Kentucky Senator Mitch McConnell to be replaced as GOP Senate leader. It came after McConnell voted against convicting the former president on an impeachment charge, but then gave a scathing speech critical of Trump's actions leading up to the violence at the U.S. Capitol on January 6th. But those covering Congress haven't reported much effort by members toward removing McConnell. He is the longest-serving Senate Republican leader in history. Former Democratic State Representative Charles Booker is finding a way to stay relevant by reaching out during the ice storm recovery. Booker's Hood to Holler organization is working in the Kentucky mountains to help those dealing with power outages. Booker has signaled he is likely to return to politics soon. Kentucky lawmakers return to Frankfort next week after taking this week off because of the tough weather, and the last day to file a new bill is Tuesday. Bill Bryant, WKYT.
While construction was completed last fall, a new entertainment complex in Lexington hasn't opened because of the pandemic. Next, when we can expect to see the new Lex Live open.
Keep up with the latest news on WKYT.com. Join the conversation on Twitter and become a part of the WKYT Facebook family.
It's pretty hard to miss. It's 90,000 square feet of fun right across from Rupp Arena. It's called Lex Live. It'll bring hundreds of new jobs to the city.
But people have been asking for months when it's going to open. Well, tonight we think we may finally have an answer for you. WKYT's Olivia Russell and video journalist Darnell Crenshaw have more about the new addition to downtown. It's a story that's new at 5:30.
Currently, we're targeting an opening date of around the middle of March. Obviously, it's dependent upon everything coming together.
Bruce Wren is the director of operations at Lex Live. He gave us a few starting dates back in the fall, but then COVID cases spiked, leaving Lex Live in the dark.
The reason we're very confident that we're going to get open at this time is that, first of all, we believe people need an opportunity to get out of the house when they feel safe.
So what's inside? Lots of games, bowling, 2 restaurants, 3 bars, and 10 movie theaters, one of which is home to the largest screen in the state. Now, Lex Live just needs workers.
We're doing a job fair over the next 3 days from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. on site.
Right now, 150 jobs need to be filled. Malik Wilson is interviewing to be an usher.
I've been on unemployment since last year, so I'm ready to start working.
Malik hasn't worked since last March when his restaurant job at Alfalfa's went out of business.
When that happened, I was kind of just like, I'm kind of tired of working restaurants anyway, so I wanted something new.
Possibly a new beginning for Malik and Lex Live.
But now we feel like there's starting to be some break in the clouds and some sunshine ahead, and we feel like it's an opportunity to get open.
Lex Live, 3 years in the making and coming soon. In Lexington, Olivia Russell, WKYT.
Bruce Wren with Lex Live says there will not be a grand opening. That may come later in the year. For now, they are focused on all CDC COVID safety protocols and making sure that people will have a good time.
Thousands of people are still without power through parts of southern and eastern Kentucky, some for over a week. Our weather coverage continues on WKYT next.